Danielle here. Welcome. I'm so glad to meet you virtually and that we're here to share some space together. What we're going to do in this video is a very short, less than 60-second activity to help us reset our nervous system and come into our body and hopefully feel a little bit better if we've been feeling down. Before we get started, I just wanted to do a little bit of an introduction to why we need practices like this. I don't know why you're here or what drew you to wanting to do something that's called a nervous system reset, but I can guess that it might be similar to the reason why I got into these practices in my early 30s, which was because for me, I was noticing after I had my two children that my ability to control my anxiety or my mood in general wasn't the same as it used to be. And that I really was struggling in areas of work, in my home, with my partner, with my kids, to feel good, to enjoy myself, to be present, but also to not be super reactive. Like I was really snappy and I had no patience for my kids. I had no patience for my partner. And I just felt really bad within my body. And my anxiety was really bad, but I also was starting to carry a lot of shame around because I felt like I just wasn't doing things in the right way. So while these practices, when I first started them, were amazing, I started to feel better immediately from deep breath, from meditation, from other somatic practices like yoga and tapping and shaking, all of these great things that work with our nervous system, work with that big vagus nerve that runs from our brainstem all the way down. I didn't really have a leap into feeling really good until I understood how my brain worked, because I still blamed myself for what was happening. And I was still really angry as a recovering workaholic and a recovering perfectionist. I was like, what is wrong? Why can't I get it together? And I was mad about it. I was mad at my body. I was mad at my anxiety. I was mad at the world for the fact that I couldn't do everything with a smile on my face. And that I just was really struggling. And then I learned about the nervous system. I learned about how everything was working within me. And it was this huge light bulb that went off. And it totally changed how I felt about myself and my practice. I developed a lot of compassion for me and for others. And I started to be able to be a lot more intentional with what I was doing in order to feel better. So our brains are wired to constantly protect us, constantly. And for a very long time, that protection was needed in a different way, right? It was, oh my goodness, there's a wild animal, or there's somebody who's going to attack me or rob me or something like that. We have to remember in human history, we didn't always live like we do now, with a lot of order and safety, and without wild animals running around, with us being able to get food easily at grocery stores and things like that. So our body is wired to constantly scan for something that's dangerous, and release hormones and chemicals within us to either bring us up into fight or flight or down into freeze or fawn. And those reactions are completely normal. And we have what's called a window of tolerance. I want you to imagine it like this. And when we're inside this little space in this window, it's when our nervous system is doing what it's supposed to do and we're feeling really good. But when we see a lion, we might jump up into flight or fight, or we might come down into freeze or fawn. The difference is that nowadays our bodies and our brains are reacting like there's a lion all the time, but it might just be something that isn't as threatening, but feels that way to us. And that's not saying there's anything wrong with it feeling that way. Or perhaps we had some childhood trauma or some adult trauma, or just the chronic stress of worldwide pandemics, or the news, the fear that's put into us. We are constantly like, either this, or maybe we're just can't do anything, right? So it's not our fault. Our brain is trying to protect us. Our body is trying to protect us. And the more we're in the hyper or hypoarousal, the more our window shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. So maybe 5 years ago, something would happen to you, like your kid would do something annoying and you would come up right here, but you're still in your window. So you would just take a deep breath and talk to them about it. But because of the chronic stress, your window is now here. So your kid does something annoying and it comes up here and you're snapping or you're yelling or you're fighting, right? Or you're crying. This is just an example, one of many, 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 because we are just unable to tolerate this amount of stress that has been going on within our culture, within our lives. So this is why we're feeling this way. It's not our fault. Our body is trying to protect us and we need to thank it. So let's get started just with that. Can you just settle into your seat? I want you to put your hand on your chest. And if you want, you might put your other hand on your belly or let it rest on your thighs. And I want you to just say, thank you, body. Thank you for all the hard work you're doing, trying to protect me. Thank you, brain, for scanning. Thank you, nervous system, for responding. And then I want you to tell it to trust you, to trust your higher self. So maybe you close your eyes gently or just gaze down and say, I appreciate you for trying to protect me, but I got this. And thank you for showing up for me. All right. So the practice that we're going to do is simply some breathing that will help us to reset our nervous system to come into a calmer state. You can do this anytime, anywhere. It takes about 60 seconds for us to move out of hyper or hypoarousal with practice. So the more you do this type of breathing, the more you'll be able to use it to help you when you start to feel activated. But I do recommend doing it periodically throughout the day, even when you feel great, because that's really how we retrain our body and our nervous system to be more resilient and to jump up and come back down quickly, or to match what's going on outside and recognize that the triggers aren't lions coming at us all the time. So again, if you'd like to close your eyes, sometimes even when we're alone in our home, on our couch, like you might be right now, we still don't feel comfortable closing our eyes, and that's okay. You might just want to close your, gaze down a little bit. So soften your gaze. You don't have to look at me. You can if you want to. But try to just let everything come out of focus. And we're going to take a few deep breaths. So I want you to breathe in through your nose, and I want you to take as much air in as possible. Filling all the way up. Maybe a little more air, a little more. And then you're going to open your mouth, let it go with the sound. Push all the air out. Let's do it again. Breathe in. Open your mouth. Let it go. Again, breathe in. Open your mouth. Sigh it out. And then I want you to come back to your natural breath. Just breathing in and out through your nose. And as you breathe in and out through your nose, we're just going to travel through the body very quickly. So you'll just repeat the body part that I name to yourself mentally, and just send your attention there, just coming in to our physical body with our minds. So we're going to start at the top with the top of your head, back of the head, the face, the whole head together, back of the neck, throat, shoulders, both shoulders together, your collarbone, both collarbones together, the upper back, the shoulder blades, the shoulders, both biceps, both elbows, both forearms, both hands, all 10 fingers. And then the chest, the belly, your lower back, your hips, your buttocks, your whole pelvic area, the backs of your thighs, the fronts of your thighs, knees, calves, ankles, feet, all 10 toes. And then intention goes to the whole body together, the whole body together, the whole body together. Go ahead and gently blink your eyes open, come back into the space. Take a moment to reorient. All right, so what we did there was easy breath, 3 quick breaths, and then we did a quick body scan. Now, if you're gonna do this practice on your own, or you can watch this video or skip to this part as often as you'd like, you can just repeat the body part one at a time. And then as you continue to practice, maybe you won't even mentally say it, you'll just send your attention there. And the purpose is to just come into our body. And then if you're feeling really good, or if you have the time, it's really nice to maybe sit for another minute or two, up to as long as you'd like, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and so on. And just notice your breath or notice your body. You can travel from your head back down to your toes back up to your head as often as you need to recenter. But the deep breaths get right into our nervous system. If you think about how your breathing is impacted or is affected by what you're feeling, this will make a lot of sense. When you get scared, right? When you get angry, when you're crying, or when you see something you like, oh, what a cute puppy, right? Our breath is impacted by our nervous system, our emotions, and vice versa. So those 3 deep breaths help to calm us down. And then when we come into our body, we're able to feel how everything is. And it just helps us to be actually present inside of ourselves, not just physically here, but thinking about something else. All of these are proven ways to help reset the nervous system and feel better pretty quickly. All right, so excited you're able to join me. If you want more, I'm going to be sharing a lot on daniellebrunson.com, or you can follow me on YouTube. We'll be posting lots of different meditations and different talks about mindfulness, about our nervous system, about how to feel better, and practices as well. Under Radically Grateful, you can find all of this information on my website. And I'm also on social media, on Instagram as Yo Soy Yella, and Facebook as Danielle Brunson, and I'll be posting resources there as well. I'd love to hear from you. If you want to shoot me an email, all of that information is on the site. I want to wish you so much ease and joy, light and love in your journey. Thank you so much for joining me.